There we go. Welcome back. My name is Jeff Fritz. Welcome back to the live stream. We're live from Seattle at Microsoft Build 2019, and I brought a very snazzy blazer for the occasion. My friend right here, you know him, it's Ed Charbonneau. He's another one of the live coders. How's it going, Ed?
Excellent. How are you doing, Jeff?
Good to see you. Oh my gosh, I am thrilled to be here at Build. We just got done keynotes. There's one still wrapping up over there, but all kinds of great announcements around Azure, around AI, some cool new stuff for Windows. Yeah, very snazzy. I like that A-hole fling, right? It is sparkly. It is very spangly. Thank you very much. We spared no expense. So lots of great announcements, but I still think looking at the announcements, right, there's great updates to things around the AI, but as a developer, I'm still sold on Blazor.
Absolutely.
This is like the untold story here at Build. It's like the coming out party for Blazor, you know?
Well, it's intermingled into all the sessions that are If they're not titled Blazor, there's still going to be some Blazor demos in there somewhere.
Oh my gosh. Yes. For those of you who don't know, Blazor is, of course, that new technology that's being built by the ASP.NET Core team that allows you to run C# code live in the browser. And there's also now a server-side component to it that'll run server-side, just like the old web forms ways, and traffic things back and forth with SignalR.
What's really cool is how they actually accomplish the client-side stuff.
Okay.
Is you're not actually compiling your .NET assemblies to WebAssembly.
You're not.
You're not. So what they've done is they've taken the mono runtime and compiled the mono runtime to WebAssembly, so you can just use regular .NET DLLs in the browser.
Nice. Isn't that great? Oh my gosh, I love it. Let's take a look at the chat room, say hello to some folks. There's Electric Havoc. Good to see you. Dee Dee, yeah, she has a pile of cinnamon rolls. She's right over here, our friend Dee Dee Walsh. Smab says, I'm too smarkly. Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. We got all the good here. So styling, absolutely. Your eyes are hurting? Come on, Holloway. Come on.
My eyes are hurting too, but I digress.
I'm feeling good. It fits nice. I feel wonderful. Surly, no, it is not Liberace. It's my blazer, okay? Very fancy jacket. Thank you, Motown Andy. We've got a crowd forming here. Good to see you there, Surly Dev. You do you. Feel good in the jacket. Yes. Surly Dev asks, is Blazor a proper product now?
So Blazor is no longer in experimental.
That's a huge step.
It's a huge step. Not only is Blazor not in experimental anymore, it will ship. The server side will ship with ASP.NET Core 3.0.
Fantastic.
Client side will remain in preview for a little bit while they fix up some of the performance and in package size and things like that and get it perfect.
There's definitely something to be said about when I'm shipping an entire DLL. You mentioned the mono DLL gets shipped down, the mono to WebAssembly bridge. That's something that, okay, I can buy, you need to ship that, but I want to cache that long term.
Yes.
I don't want to have to download that every time. But when I get beyond that mono bit and I need to push those DLLs back and forth, I don't want to ship system XML.
Right.
I don't want to ship, things around system.data. I want just what I need to run my application.
Exactly. You don't want to ship also parts of a library that you're not using.
Exactly.
So they have something in the mono runtime called the compile phase called the IL linker.
Okay, so we're going to run a linker just like in C++?
Yep. Okay. So if you're coming from a JavaScript background, it's tree shaking.
Yes.
So we're going to look at your .NET assemblies and figure out what code paths you're actually using, which ones you're not, take the ones out that you're not, throw those away, and ship a smaller package down the wire.
Very cool stuff. Makes a lot of sense, and we want to make sure that you end up with a great experience, whether it's client-side or server-side. Definitely. Blazor is out of experimental state. Yes, Jazzpunk.
Yes,
it is, and you can download betas now, right? What version are we on right now?
We are on preview 4 right now. 5 may be shipping or may have shipped today.
ASP.NET Core, yep.
If it didn't ship today, it will ship probably this week while we're at build.
Okay.
So preview 5 is coming out. Preview 6 is on its way. So it just keeps moving straight along. We're looking at monthly releases still.
Yes. Now. There's all kinds of other great streams going on here from Build. You're going to see a little bit later from the official Build stream, you're going to see our friend, Sky! And he's, of course, going to be talking with Sky! And if you stick around for a little bit after Sky! Then he actually comes back with a bunch of his friends, that guy named Sky! I'm getting carried away with that. So Preview 5 was released. Fantastic. Thank you, Lewis. We see some of those previews before they go out because we're on some of the nightly feeds. Want to make sure that we weren't saying anything before it was announced.
Yeah, we got to tread lightly. We got to really watch what we say. Cause
absolutely.
NDAs going on and previews shipping. And speaking of the preview going, or being in preview and out of experimental, Telerik, we've been building alongside this preview process, and we shipped our preview months ago.
Yeah.
We are now officially in a 1.0 release.
1.0 of
our Telerik UI for Blazor components.
There you go. Telerik 1.0 Blazor.
So what does that mean? That means you get support now.
Yes.
So that is a big deal. So if you're using our components and you run into a problem, maybe there's something that you're trying to figure out how to make it work, or there's a bug, you can actually file a support ticket now.
And I've known that those Telerik forums and now Progress forums, for the longest time, you drop some mention in there, hey, I'm working around something, this doesn't feel right. There's always someone ready to jump on there, whether it's somebody from Telerik Progress or somebody from the community is able to jump in there and help out, answering questions. It's a great, very helpful community there.
Yep, and we're also including the Telerik UI for Blazor in our DevCraft Complete bundle.
Okay, so if you're a subscriber to that and you've got all the UI libraries, it's now in the box.
It is. So we have Telerik UI, Telerik DevCraft Ultimate, which has it as well. That's the top-end package. We currently aren't listing it on the website, Telerik UI for Blazor with Complete, but it is coming in the next few weeks.
Fantastic.
So we're able to offer those things as a package now.
Yeah, okay. So I've got the purple beard going, Gareth. I have this magnificent jacket. Gareth's another one of the live coders, specializing in an F#. Great to see you out there. Let's see. No, Organic IT. Do not walk behind me. No, the Progress folks are over here. They will beat you down.
Sarah's a hockey mom. She will high stick you.
Yep. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Maher. Thank you for sharing that link. Let's see what else is going on. Ancient Coders here with the hype. Thanks for joining us. You like that? That's the Blazor logo we got on the cap there. Way to get that request in, Ed. And you said you couldn't influence them. Oh yeah.
So. I can't elaborate too much. I can say that decision was made before my input was given.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
As much as I'd like to take credit for it, our team was already on top of it. I just wasn't allowed to officially state anything. But we had already made that decision. It just wasn't something I was able to talk about.
Okay.
But you guys, your feedback is tremendously helpful in getting those things to our team so they can make those decisions.
Very cool stuff. Michael Jolly says that jacket, insert the George Takei.
Oh my.
Indeed. Yeah, you like the jacket. Where's the canonical or best Hello World sample for getting started with Blazor, asks Surly Dev. You've written a number of getting started type things.
I have. There's also the file new project experience that comes with the Blazor tooling itself. It's an excellent way to start. It's got the counter, it's got fetch data, and it's a good Hello World experience.
I think the counter's that great. Let me just click a button and see it do something. The fetch data I really like because it's let me show you how you go to the server, get an API, and then repaint the screen.
Yeah.
And that the first time I did the fetch data, as a longtime web developer, I was almost shocked that it was that simple because I was expecting it to be. I was expecting to have to repaint, rebind to different things, but it just works. I'm like, this is insane.
What's crazy is Blazor just works.
It does.
And there's also 3 different file new project experiences that come with the tooling when you install it. So actually, you get one of them with ASP.NET Core 3.0.
Okay.
So you get the server-side template with ASP.NET Core 3.0 because that's what's going to ship officially.
Sure. So just for installing .NET Core SDK, referencing the 3.0 bits, you get that.
You get Blazor server-side.
Okay.
And then if you install the V6 package for the Blazor tooling, you get 2 more templates. You get a client-side only, that's all static files that you could host on GitHub.
Okay, yeah.
GH pages, throw it up
nice.
there. Throw it on GoDaddy, wherever. You can run .NET anywhere now.
Yeah.
Without a server.
Mm-hmm. Run it on a Raspberry Pi.
Absolutely.
Because it's static.
So you can serve it from anywhere. You've got that template, and then you also have a full stack template that has client-side Blazor and a server with a web API endpoint that you can call that fetch data from.
Okay.
So you've got those 3 templates. They're excellent getting started experience.
Oh, yeah. Let's say hello to some other folks in the chat room here. There's Fairy Wings. See, Fairy? I told you I was going to wear the jacket this week, and Fierce Kittens is here. Hello. Good to see you. And let's allow that one through. So, Fierce Kittens, this is something that our friends from Progress are going to help out with. We're going to do for Mother's Day. We've been talking about .NET Core 3, but for Mother's Day, we're going to do a very special squad stream with Fierce Kittens. We're going to convert the GIFBot application, that's that freeware application that she maintains for folks that are broadcasting streams like we do here. We're going to convert that from .NET 4.5, 4.6 to .NET Core 3.0. We're going to have a couple of guests come on from Microsoft, and we're going to show you how to use some of the new WinForms controls from Progress as part of that. We are so looking forward to that. And maybe the jacket will make another appearance for a little bit. I don't know.
I don't know if my eyes can take it, Jeff.
Let me tell you, I can safely cross the street here in Seattle and nobody will hit me. On purpose. Okay, he's missing a blinged out Game of Thrones hat. That was yesterday. No, and I'm not going to bling out the blazer hat there. What else we got? Is there anything in the SSRS or Power BI team to allow ASP.NET MVC web application to interact with report server and preview pixel perfect tabular reports on a web page in the application? Asks WQ Walter. I'm not familiar with either of those products. I
am not either.
Sorry.
Power BI, I heard is really cool, but that's about all I know about it. It's not something in my wheelhouse.
I use Power BI to build a couple dashboards for monitoring data coming out of the stream, but I haven't done any integration yet. Maybe that's something I need to explore, WQ Walter. I look different on this camera? No, I don't. I just have, the beard looks a little different. So.
It's very blazer colored today.
Very blazer colored. I am on brand. Okay. Need to adjust your set, asks President, not sure. No, the color is just fine. U.S. Mother's Day is this Sunday. It is. It is a card holiday. We're going to write code instead of sniffing flowers. Oh, yes. You never even seen Power BI? Oh, yeah. This is my blazer, and the hat needs more colors. No way. Just purple, plain and white.
I like it. I like it the way it is.
Crisp and clear. That's all we need. Electron. Oh, here you go. My hair has a good question. Good point. Electron JavaScript apps running Blazor. Have you tried that?
So I haven't tried it personally. I've seen some demos of it though.
Yeah.
What is really cool is if you go back on my stream.
Yeah.
A couple shows ago, I did one called Blazor Shell Apps.
Okay.
So what's really cool about Blazor is you can take all of the component page logic and stick it in a .NET Standard DLL.
Yes.
You can then reference that .NET Standard DLL from a client-side app, a server-side app, an Electron app, PWA, and it just works.
Because it's all packaged, it's all static, it doesn't need to go interpret that somewhere.
Right, and the framework is smart enough that when it's shelled inside one of those apps and it sees that package reference to your core logic, it finds the routing. And it finds the components, and it automatically just works.
Yes.
And it's one of the coolest approaches because you can start building server-side. So you can do all the server-side rendering stuff, and then as WebAssembly matures, you take all that same code and say, all right, just change shell out. I want to run it on the client now.
Okay.
And it just works.
Yeah. That's it feels like some of that promise of Java, write once, run everywhere, but it's actually happening. Because it's in the browser. So cool. All right. I think we've got some more guests. We're going to be getting ready to go. Thank you so much. This has been great. Oh yeah, I'm going to turn that. Don't forget to take off that headset. And we've got. Let me turn off my guest nameplate there. Oh my gosh, this is for those of you that have been watching over the last few weeks. You don't know who this is yet. But you're going to meet him in just a second. You know who he is, but you don't know who he is. This is John Graham. Hello, John. Yeah. But we know you as what in the chat room?
Rift 87.
Rift 87. Yep. John won our Ticket to Build giveaway that we were running with our friends here at Progress. And I didn't even know you were from the same area as me, and we ended up on the same plane flying into Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, I got to know you from like the Philly.net user group way back in the day.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I started the following and, been into Twitch and stuff like that. So I was really interested. And that's kind of how it all came to be. How I ended up in your channel.
And you ended up here?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you've seen a little bit of the keynote. You've made your way around the event here a little bit. What do you think?
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah?
The first thing I tried out was the HoloLens 2.
Yeah, what do you think of the HoloLens?
It's insane.
Yeah?
It's crazy. Yeah, with the way that it can detect the hand detection now and
interacting, touching hologram.
Yeah, and they showed off where it can vision detect like what you're looking at, and it'll do different animations. That was definitely really awesome. I saw that. The other thing that I saw was pretty neat was the app deployments. We're doing some Ionic and Cordova stuff. So there's the Azure app deployments now
over here in the Microsoft area.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So, I'm assuming you're going to get to some .NET sessions, right?
Yes,
You got to get to some .NET sessions.
Yeah, very interested in those.
Oh, yeah.
So I just saw the .NET 5 that got announced recently. I
Yes.
haven't read about that yet, but gotta get caught up on that.
So .NET 5, we're going to bring all the runtimes together.
Right.
So instead of having Mono over here and Xamarin over there and .NET Core, we're going to have one runtime to rule them all. It's going to be amazing. But we're going to be a little bit further out. It's going to be a little bit of time till we get there. .NET Core 3 is going to be coming this fall. We should be announcing it. We should be releasing at .NET Conf. So that's going to be tremendous. You got to make sure you tune in for .NET Conf. And we're really looking forward to this very bright future here.
I'm excited for .NET Core 3 too, because a lot of our apps are still working with Entity Framework 6 and things like that, and I've heard that the compatibility is going to come back for that.
Compatibility
so we're
is
looking for
awesome for Entity Framework Core, Entity Framework 6 with ASP.NET Core, with .NET Core, so you can use those together. Hey, thanks so much for taking a picture. Take care. Bye-bye. People are just wandering by, taking pictures and all that stuff. There's a huge crowd coming over this way. Hey, look at this over here. We got some friends. Hello, hello. Sure, come on over. You can say hello. It's Jamie Singleton. Hello. Good to see you. Did I do a good job with the jacket?
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's very sparkly. Yes.
It changed color.
It even changes color.
Wow, this is an all-purpose jacket.
I'm going to have to wear this to the team dinner tonight so that Scott knows who I am.
Oh, yes, please. I feel so bad. It looks amazing.
The beard, I did the purple beard again. Yes, of course. So, so our friends Scott, they'll be doing the talk here in a little bit, going over all the cool things that are coming for .NET Core 3.
Yeah.
.NET 5 as well. You got to make sure you check that out. And I believe they're at 2 o'clock is when you can find them. So in about a half an hour, over in somewhere that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know my way
one of
around
those
it.
stages. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
a little bit of a strange layout over there where
It
you're
is.
not quite sure where the stages are and everything. But I'm getting the hang of it.
The breakouts, there's a lot of them on the 6th floor. There's really big
Right.
rooms up there that you'll probably find them in. Let's take a look at the chat room real quick. Skull Crusher says there can be only one. Well, come on now. I've got plenty of these to go around. Blazer's State Has Changed for Ed. Yes, so our friend Ed Charbonneau, of course, hosts the State Has Changed show on his channel. Future is almost as bright as my blazer, says Legendary Moo. I like Legendary Moo. Are you in dairy farming there? I see how you spelled that. I am not Elton John. No. Assault, says Fierce Kittens. No. Johan, thanks so much for the resub. That's kind of positioned wrong, but really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
A lot of great Blazer puns.
A lot of
in
great
the
Blazer
chat.
puns. Oh, yeah. Scott and Scott doing a talk, but what about... Scott! I don't think he's going to be in it, just the first two Scotts. The red shirt Scott probably won't be there. So this is great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jeff.
I
Appreciate it.
hope you enjoy, Bill.
Yeah, it's been great so far.
And I'll probably see you on the flight home.
Yeah, yep, we'll see.
Absolutely. There goes John Graham. Thanks so much. And we're going to get ready for our next guest. Here comes. I'm going to move over those alerts slightly.
Slide this into my ear.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Get that in there. Get you into the mix. All right.
Jeff, nice to see ya.
There we go. You're in.
Awesome.
Go ahead. Why don't you introduce your folks so you can let folks know who you are?
Hi,
Where
everybody.
you from?
My name is Matt Rocknich. I am a developer evangelist with DocuSign. I'm from San Francisco. Very happy to be on the stream. Very excited to be my second build ever. Second build, yeah.
Second one of these? Second one of these streams? We did one in Vegas?
Yes, second one in Vegas. Yeah, it was a fun one.
I didn't have the jacket would have looked good in Vegas.
No, the jacket would have looked a lot better in Vegas. but I'm very excited. It's an awesome conference. The amount of innovation that we're seeing today is incredible.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and we saw in the opening keynote, there was a little snafu, but...
So we've all been there, right? For those of you that didn't see, the keynote started off with a demo. They were going to do this cool NASA demo. Literally, the folks were here till 9 o'clock last night practicing.
I saw it. It looked great. It looked amazing.
And the demo broke.
Yeah. HoloLens and Unreal Engine, and they just stood up there. They're looking up, and there was no space shuttle, and then they said, okay, and they walked off.
And they just left.
It was a little awkward, but Satya ran on stage way too early and just went with it. So it was...
All right. Thanks so much. Oh,
Next. But yeah, so I'm very excited for DocuSign. We are very excited to share a new demo with all of our attendees today.
Okay,
We're showing a C# code example launcher. So one of the pieces of feedback that we got from previous developers was, hey, you have code examples all over the place, and it's kind of it's a hinder to have to go and to clone each additional repo, get a configuration set up, and to get each sample running. Why can't we put them all in one convenient place, one MVC app?
Okay.
And so we created that for our developers, so they can go on. It's on GitHub. They can clone the repo, add their integrator key, secret key, and then ultimately just run all the examples from one convenient place. So you can see like what you want to do.
All right, so let's slow down, back that up a little bit.
Yeah.
So when we want to use some of the DocuSign tools, features,
Yes.
whether we're using .NET Core, maybe .NET Framework,
Both.
fantastic. There's one repository we can clone, and
Yes.
all the samples are in there together as
Correct.
one cohesive solution.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Correct.
awesome, Matt. I
And
love
it's-
hearing that.
It's a big deal. So
Oh, yeah.
we've had developers come by all day today and are really excited about using it. So,
Okay, okay.
Our experience in Booth 2 is very comprehensive. So if you haven't heard of DocuSign on the stream, I would highly recommend you head over to developers.docusign.com. We have getting started guides. We have a bunch of tools to get started. So it's a great first start.
And tomorrow, we're going to do a pair programming stream together.
We absolutely are. So Matt King, I'm Matt
Yes.
Rockby. There's a lot of Matts
Oh,
on
yeah,
our team.
a lot of Matts.
Matt King is going to be building out kind of an invoicing function for that application
demo we're
tomorrow.
gonna do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So definitely stop by in the stream tomorrow as well to see that.
So, right, tomorrow afternoon, we're going to have folks from, we have folks from Twilio, we have folks from Mobilize.net, and
Correct.
DocuSign. Matt King is going to join us, and we're going to show you how all these great tools from vendors work together to give you a fantastic .NET Core application. I'm
Absolutely.
really looking forward to that.
Oh my gosh, it's
doing
gonna be
that very aggressive pair programming
Yeah.
with all these different tools. Now they play so well together.
It does.
Oh.
And our priority for that particular application or that particular experiment is to show how fast and easy it is to get DocuSign up and running very, very quickly.
Yeah, we're going to
Integration,
complete that demo in 2 hours.
Yeah, which is exciting.
Tremendous
yeah.
stuff. Let's take a look in the chat room here real quick. How many hats does Fritz have? Sorry, the bot's not running today. You can't. Love watching the delayed stream in the back, says Legendary Moo. Hi. And now it'll wave over there
Yeah.
at some point. Do the Mats outnumber the Scots? Asks
Oh, we need a new button.
Oh my.
No, don't.
I think we need a new button.
we need a new button for just Mats.
Just Matt's.
We'll just scream at that. How's
Yeah,
that?
I guess that works, yeah.
Never. They always have some spares in case of emergency. We do
true.
not keep spare Scots.
Illuminati Club, Matt's only. It's a thing. We have a Facebook group. There are millions of us.
There's a Facebook group. Be careful. Yeah, I'm not going to hit one of those. I can't do it. I'm sorry. We're not gonna do Matt Holloway there jumping in there. Yeah, okay. Maybe we need a Matt command.
Another
That'd be kinda
Matt.
cool.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
So, I'm really looking forward to this. And are there any? So you've shuffled around your samples a little bit. Are there any new products? Any cool new things happening with DocuSign that we need to be aware of?
Absolutely. A couple new things. First off, we rolled out eSign 2.1. So our eSign API, we have a new version, includes things like bulk send functionality through the API. In addition, we kind of reformatted the response object, so you get a lot more information from things like get envelope or get recipient list. So definitely check out 2.1 documentation. Very, very helpful. In addition, we rolled out 2 new APIs recently, the Click API and the Org Admin API. These are for advanced users to get access to some of the new functionality as a part of our agreement cloud. Very markety speak. In reality, it means things like, you're seeing the Apple Terms of Agreements. That's a click wrap agreement.
I've
never read it.
Right, I've seen it appear, and I've just go away,
Right.
go away.
Stop, yeah.
Scrolls.
Exactly.
I don't need to see this.
No one ever reads it. However,
Nobody reads it.
With DocuSign, you can now implement those click wrap agreements in your applications very, very easily, and you can enforce so that the user has to actually read the whole thing and click to agree.
Because the other way,
60% of the time, it works every time.
but with DocuSign, it's 100% of the time it works.
They have to read, exactly.
Absolutely.
So,
Fantastic.
to get started on those, head over to developers.docusign.com, and we have all the documentation, get started stuff there as well. So
And there's a developer kit they can get started
There is.
and just take a look around, and then when they're ready to sign up, register for an account and then
yes,
get involved.
absolutely. So to get started, you can create a developer sandbox, and this is a privileged account that has full access to all the features we have to offer. When you choose to actually want to go live, you can go to production later on, but push that down the road. For now,
Sure.
just send as many API calls as you want. I think it's max 1,000 per day.
Nice.
But so just go wild and see what you can build.
There's definitely something to having that wide open developer sandbox. Hey, come on in, try it out,
Yep.
See what you think. You can't actually execute anything with it, right? You can't send those executed documents, but when you're ready to go production, my gosh, that just having a switch to flip,
Yep.
that's such a great way to get folks involved with the product from early on. You know,
I think it's about trust. You know, when you have a company at a conference and they say, hey, go ahead and subscribe or give us your credit card to start trying out our APIs, it doesn't make any sense. Frankly, I think it's a shame. And so we want them to really try it out up front, and then should you want to pay for a plan later, go ahead, do it later down the road. But
sure.
For now, just try it out.
Learn about it.
Exactly.
Go in there and give us some feedback if there's something that we don't do, so that you can figure out, all right, well, we'll adjust the product so it meets these other needs.
Yep, exactly.
I am not myself in the chat room. That's one of our friends from Auth0 is commenting. Glenn Block now works for DocuSign.
Excellent. Do you know which office I am not myself?
I'm going to guess somewhere in the
San Francisco, Seattle
range, maybe.
By the way, Twitch is a DocuSign API customer.
Twitch is a DocuSign API customer. I don't remember signing a DocuSign when I got my documents.
Didn't even know.
It was integrated, and I didn't even know I
Bellevue.
did it.
Awesome. So in the Seattle office.
I was expecting, so when I've done DocuSign in the past, I've had the document pop up and you actually have to sign the thing. And that's when I like to use something like the Surface Book 2 or a Surface Pro, or even an iPad where I can use a stylus and actually sign and it looks like my signature.
Right.
I love that experience because it feels so similar to the analog experience.
Yep.
And then being able to workflow that and having all the digital assets, tremendous set of products there.
We prioritize the user experience. We realize that this, it has to compete with paper. Ultimately, it competes with what you're accustomed to, what you're familiar with, and so having that experience be delightful is a priority, not only for our end users, but also developers. If it's delightful to developers, they want to integrate it, it's sticky, it becomes a really good product for everybody.
Very cool stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
I think we're about to.
I think we're
some
set.
more folks. Oh my gosh, I do see somebody else about to join us. Well, thanks so much.
Oh yeah,
Matt.
nice to see you.
Great seeing
Have
you.
a great build.
Oh yeah.
Have a good one, everybody. Nice to meet y'all.
There we go. There goes Matt. I'm going to turn that one off. And we've got another guest coming in. I have a conga line of guests coming here, friends. Wait till you see who's next. Yeah, it's you. Look at this. It is a longtime friend, Mr. Devin Rader. That goes underneath. Now the microphone goes underneath. There you go. And then we'll dial you up.
Hello, Internet.
Hello, Internet people. It's Devin Rader from Twilio. Great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
We are clashing.
Clashing.
So, yes, this is...
You can do it! We can clash. It's okay.
Yes, no.
So
our personalities.
They jive.
Yes.
They work together. So good. Gareth loves the format. Thank you so much. You've heard of Lightning Talks, but Lightning Interviews? Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet.
That's right.
Because wait till you see what happens next. So Twilio's here at Build.
We are.
Do you guys have big announcements this week, or are you just here hanging out, catching the Azure vibes?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
I believe we had an announcement around our Twilio IoT.
Okay.
So if anybody...
Now what does that do?
Right. So Twilio offers developers wireless connectivity. Right.
Yeah.
So if you want to build an IoT device and you don't want to be dependent upon Wi-Fi, right?
Sure.
Then you need cellular service, right? Cellular is pretty ubiquitous everywhere. So Twilio can sell you connectivity in the form of little SIM cards. And so one of the announcement that we made is our SIM cards now conform with the Trust on Board.
Oh, okay. The standard.
Yeah, standard.
Yes.
So you get an X509 certificate on it, and it hooks right into Azure. So you basically can just go into the Twilio console. You can say, I would like a SIM card. We ship you a SIM card.
Okay.
You go register that SIM card in the Twilio console, and then as part of that process, you can say, all right, connect this SIM card to Azure.
And it's a micro SIM card.
Yep.
That you
It's in all form factors, right?
Okay.
So, here at the conference, we've got some little kits that we're giving away. If you go to one of the labs, you can always order them online as well. So yeah, that's kind of the thing we're talking about. In addition to just all the other
other great stuff. Yeah.
Twilio stuff, SendGrid stuff.
Oh, SendGrid as well. Another tremendous service that automatically takes care of all your email concerns when you send out to a huge mailing list of folks.
Yeah.
Now, I remember you were working with a friend of ours, Andy Schwam, at MVP Summit, and you guys were working on it was a call-in dashboard.
Yeah.
What was the Twilio service you guys were using?
So Twilio has a voice over IP SDK, right? So you can build voice over IP phone services that connect into Twilio, and then you can do lots of stuff with it. And so we have SDKs in iOS, Android, and JavaScript.
Cool.
And so Andy and I took the JavaScript SDK and we created a Blazor wrapper around that so that it was doing Blazor JavaScript interop in order to, from a Blazor application, let you make a phone call from your browser out to wherever.
Inconceivable!
Okay.
That's right.
All right, being able to run compiled code inside the browser is
Yep.
one thing, but now you're making like an analog telephone call from a browser.
Yep. And from
That's
a Blazor
insane.
application in a browser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a lot of fun. We had a really good time. It was good that some Microsoft folks were there to help us. We contributed to the documentation. We contributed to the bugs that were reported, but it was early days, right?
Of
so
course.
we totally. But yeah, we just had a lot of fun building it, and it was fun to try out something new. It was the first time I'd ever built a Blazor application, and it was cool to see how easy it actually was to do the interop.
Really? Okay. That's definitely something that I need to learn a little bit more about, is that interop, that bridge. How do I get from C# over to JavaScript and back again?
Yeah.
And yes, I know the horse neighs. I don't have the button for it. I thought that'd be rude to drop that when people are saying JavaScript here. There's another one. I said it again.
Yes.
My gosh. So, what have you seen from Microsoft so far in the keynotes? Is there anything there that you're like, oh gosh, we need to go and get involved with? Any of the stuff around AI that clicks with you guys?
I mean, the biggest thing for me is, and I was actually really excited about this from MVP Summit, is the IoT stuff, like the IoT Hub and IoT events and the IoT Edge. It's all really, really fascinating stuff to me, because I actually do buy into this vision that IoT has yet to really, really kind of take off and explode. And it's really, really cool to see Microsoft kind of way at the front of that line, making it really, really easy for developers. And that's, to me, the important thing. It's making it easy for developers to do IoT, so that you don't necessarily have to be a hardware guru.
No.
You can get started with a Raspberry Pi. You can proof of concept on these easy dev boards. And then, you know what? If your idea gets traction, okay, then you worry about all the electrical engineering stuff.
Yeah.
But it lets software developers be software developers and solve problems using software really, really simply.
Software approaches, software practices, definitely, right? Whether it's, I've seen folks, our friend Scott Hanselman was working with the MX chip he didn't have to write any code, and it's automatically transmitting information about its position gyroscope.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I love being able to take those types of approaches, be able to think things through and use very simple solutions.
Yeah.
I know how to build for Raspberry Pi because I already know how to program for Linux or Windows. So to extend and move in that direction feels good to me.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see that the choice of dev boards is really, really continuing to grow. I'm waiting for my Meadow.
Meadow?
Yeah, have you not heard of Meadow?
No, I've not heard of Meadow. Tell me something about Meadow.
It runs .NET Core.
Okay.
And so I can use all my .NET Core skills, and it runs on a regular dev device.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. I actually was really also very stoked at the work that the ASP.NET team is doing around IoT bindings.
Okay.
To kind of abstract away the underlying sensor APIs and things like that. And again, just make it easy for me as a software developer to solve problems.
The ASP.NET team's approach, where they now have the worker thread project model, where it's everything that you liked about the ASP.NET, the web host model, without the web server.
Yeah.
It's everything but Kestrel. And it's slimmed down, it runs nice, I get that logger, I get the DI, the dependency injection.
All that great stuff.
Oh, so
it's
good.
So good. It's so good.
It's so good. Oh my goodness. Code Pagoda says it's amazing here. No, it's not. There's people here, there's some
lots
folks
of
over
signs.
there. There's other folks upstairs. There you go. What else do you need to know?
Besides, that's the fun part.
That is the fun
stumbling upon cool stuff everywhere you look.
Yeah, right? There's definitely something to be said about just wander around and be like, ooh, look what's over here.
Yep.
There's Windows Insider people over here. Windows and Teams is over there.
I didn't even see that yet.
I know. There's IoT plug and play, Carrie Payette says for us. Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Sounds like something Carter Rabase would do. Was it him? I don't know. Last time I saw a demo of Twilio, 30 developers got rickrolled on their mobile phones.
Yeah.
That was a demo you guys do, isn't it?
We do enjoy the rickroll. Yes, very much so. So, yeah.
It's fun.
It is fun. You know,
Nobody's
it's
gonna argue
it's like a magical moment because for developers to have their phone ring or their buzz, right? Or
Sure.
buzz, like get a text message. So I've been doing this for quite a while now, and you know the magic of making somebody's phone ring still is there for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, it's that get people outside of the tools that they expect to do something different.
Yep.
You didn't know your phone could do this. Watch.
Yeah, well, and even if you had someday thought, you know what, I wish I could make a phone call from my application. I don't know.
Right.
Do you know how to?
And
I don't.
right, there was some discussion. I think we were talking about what if we could do a phone call-in board from Twitch as an extension.
Yeah.
Like the pieces are all there, but then there's the human piece of we don't know what people are going to say.
Yeah, that is still, you know, live.
It's like
phone calls. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Even if you do a call screener, you still want a little bit of a delay so you can censor people, drop people out. My gosh.
Yeah. There's, you know, it's a high wire act, right?
Yes.
So.
You need to look the part on that high wire.
Absolutely.
My gosh. Let's see. What's going on there, chat room? Haven't heard anything from you in a minute or two there. So what are you looking forward to seeing the rest of the week here at Build? You're going to check out the Scots. Everybody's got to see the Scots here in a little bit.
Of course.
And then...
you know...
Do you want to get into some of those Windows sessions?
No, there was actually one thing that I was reading on the way up here. There's a new part of cognitive services, apparently, called Decide.
Yes.
I think that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
That sounded pretty interesting to me.
Okay.
So I might see if there's stuff around that I can check out about that.
So yeah, they've leveled up some of the cognitive services features so that it'll do some additional features on top of where it was before, just recognizing text, recognizing images, where now it'll put
actually
that
help
together.
me give me an answer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put that together with some cognitive learning.
Yeah.
Really, really neat stuff.
That sounds really fun. I would love to see what I can do with that around, again, like text messaging or even phone calls, right?
The ability to call into, and Michael Jolly mentioning an IVR system, right? Being able to call in and ask questions, and then Twilio route that over to some sort of cognitive service to be able to translate that into, oh yeah, I know how to answer that question, and then have Twilio read the answer back.
Yep. Yeah, that
or
would
if
be
they have somebody who knows how to do voiceovers kind of nicely, help out with, I don't know. Who would
you don't
that?
know anybody? Do you know somebody who does voiceovers?
Nobody who knows how to do that. Anyway, my gosh.
Has there been a word? Yes.
Yes,
that was
Isaac.
yes.
It was quite early. There was. Yes. So I'm keeping an eye here. I'm looking to see if Chef Brent's hanging out there, our buddy, who's another Twitch streamer, stopping in. This is great. I'm so glad to see you guys here this week.
Yeah.
We'll definitely see you throughout the week.
Absolutely.
It's your friend Corey's going to be joining us tomorrow for the pair programming session.
Yep. Corey Weathers, another evangelist at Twilio.
And another streamer.
And another streamer. Yep. Check out Corey. He streams on Tuesday and Thursday. You can.
We set up and we host him. He is CLW on Twitch.
Yep.
Yes.
He'll be with you on what day?
Tomorrow afternoon. It'll be tomorrow at 3 Pacific time. So 6 o'clock East Coast time, and we're gonna take an application, modernize it from .NET Framework to .NET Core. We're gonna drop in some Twilio love there. And then we're gonna wire it up with DocuSign.
Awesome.
It's gonna be tremendous.
Sounds so much fun.
Oh yeah. So it's not CLW. It's literally CLDUBYA. W, not W, but see. Not quite.
Yeah.
Joey Zero says been using Twilio for almost 9 years now. What do you think,
Wow.
Joey? That's a
long time. That's basically near the beginning. We celebrated our 10th birthday this past year, so we'll be going into 11 this year. But that's very, very early days.
Yes, very early. Oh my gosh.
I'm curious as to know if that's text messaging or what do they do? What does your company do, Joey?
Yeah, can you share with us a little bit, Joey, what your company SMS based?
Yeah.
All right.
So, interesting fact. I think a lot of people know us for SMS, right? That's kind
of course.
Right. It's
Yep.
actually not our voice was our first product.
Okay.
And then we went into SMS, so loyalty system. That's awesome.
Very cool stuff. It's a purple beard if you are left brain dominance, blue if you are right brain dominance.
Oh my.
No, I don't think so. There, thank you, Lois, for sharing the CLW's Twitch stream there. Yeah, make sure you check him out. Is he going to be streaming from the event?
I don't know, but he will be.
But he is around.
He's going to start something new this Friday. He's going to start streaming on Fridays.
Okay.
And we're going to start something that we call Flex Friday.
Okay.
So Flex is it's a SaaS product that we released last year-ish. That's basically like a call center in a box, right? And you can go from zero to fully functioning contact center. Actually, it's not just calls, but
it'll do call queuing and routing.
It'll call routing, call queuing.
Oh my gosh!
SMS. It'll do text, SMS, all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
Right?
Back in the day, I used to work for a call center in 2000, 2001, and we had these giant boxes that were in the data center. They were 8 feet tall, full of phone switches and routers, and this is now just something we can dial up and turn on from Twilio.
Yeah, in 5 minutes you can go from signing up for a Twilio account to having a contact center. And what's cool is it's basically just a big React application, and so you can have Twilio host it if you really want nothing, or you can actually take it and you can host it yourself and still use all like the Twilio backend stuff.
All the networking,
all the
infrastructure,
all that stuff.
You'll take care of.
So what Corey's going to do is he's going to walk through over, I think, a few different streams, how you actually download and then deploy through the full Azure development, deployment lifecycle, DevOps and everything. A Flex site into your own Azure infrastructure.
Oh, that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So he's going to start that, I believe, this Friday.
So I mean, little companies, little startup companies,
totally
could there's their customer support dial-in line.
Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yep. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Now that makes me feel really good about being able to have that in a smaller company. Oh my goodness! Look at the comment here from Surly Dev. We had a systems conference at work the other day, and they started talking about disaster recovery. I was hoping they could start talking about call trees, as I was going to suggest using Twilio to make all the calls in one go rather than people phoning people. Yes.
Yep.
That idea of call trees back in the day, gosh, as kids in the 80s.
That's right.
Right?
You were on your soccer team.
Your soccer team, right? And your mom wanted to be one of the first people in the phone tree so she could just make those 2 or 3 phone calls, kick things off, and then go back to bed.
Yep. So, like, that just gets really, really simple. You don't even have to write code. We actually have something called Twilio Studio, which is just a drag and drop.
Really?
Yep, way to do it. So even if you're not a coder, or if you want somebody who isn't a coder to be able to assist in the creation of that kind of thing, there is a simple, like, WYSIWYG experience. You can still call out into code if you want.
Okay.
But it makes it really, really, really trivial to stand that kind of stuff up. Yeah, that's a really common use case that we see from folks. Is call tree, disaster recovery. Hey, my server's down. Send me a text message or make a phone call or
Oh, very cool. So then, can I hook that up to something like Pingdom or Azure App Insights so I can get those down notifications fired into Twilio?
You could use Decision to say, hey, wait a minute, like something
I think. Is this important?
Yeah, this is absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Hey there, sweet Vinaya. Good to see you. Thanks so much for dropping by. Yep, call trees. We remember those. Twilio is how Auth0 does SMS. Very nice. De facto awesome service.
Oh, thank you.
You didn't say stuff like that? No. You want to spend time. Yeah, okay. We know. You want to get it in there. Do it. Okay?
That's right.
Do it! Because Shia LaBeouf said so. So,
and
oh my gosh.
If you're going to listen to somebody.
Why not listen to Shia LaBeouf?
Yes.
Right? Because, and of course...
It can be done exactly how I want it.
It can be done how you want it.
It can.
The only question is,
What
are
question?
you the man to do it?
Darn Skippy, we're going to get it done that way. You know it, Surly Dev. You can make it happen. All right?
That's right.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dev.
Well, thank you for having me.
This is great.
It's great stopping by.
We'll connect with Corey tomorrow.
Yep.
And we'll see him. And if you're here at Build, make sure you check out the Twilio booth.
Absolutely. We will be there.
Fantastic.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Great
it.
to see you, Devin. All right. We'll mute that mic. And I think Ed's going to come back in here for a little bit, and we're going to chat. Oh, my gosh. There we go. And
Hello, Jeff. Have we met?
I think. How you doing there? My name's Jeff Fritz.
Ed,
Good
nice to meet you. I don't know if we've ever met each other before.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, I left for a few minutes,
and like 6 people came through.
6 people came through, but wonderful guests and whatnot. But I'm looking all over the place, I mean, we're in Seattle. I
Sure.
can't find Starbucks coffee anywhere.
Are you kidding? There's like a giant like Starbucks thing right off the keynote floor.
There's coffee like 5 feet away here. There's a
There's no
Starbucks thing over there. No, I'm joking. There's
Oh my
like
gosh.
there's Starbucks like coming out of our ears in this place.
Oh.
It's amazing. There's
Yeah.
no lack of caffeine.
None.
At Build
There's
whatsoever.
so much, but I'm not going to drink coffee. I'm going to stick to my G Fuel.
How many times or how much do you get paid every time you say that?
I don't get paid by G Fuel. We are not sponsored by G Fuel. No.
Just love it. Just love it.
I do. It's so good. Dee Dee's got a whole batch coming later today. So Starbucks G Fuel, that's a bad idea.
Don't mix. Don't cross the streams.
Yeah, don't mix the streams. You're gonna don't overload on that. Simon says, seen the announcement on .NET 5, all the framework SKUs back into one. Called it. Yeah. You know, when you think about how .NET really diverged over the last 10 years, you know, between Silverlight and the Windows 8 store, Windows 8.1, Windows 10, UWP, the Windows Phone store, we had all these different fractured .NETs.
Yes.
It was so hard to manage.
Yes. We are fixing that though.
Exactly. Right? We're definitely seeing that getting fixed. And what's interesting is they have to announce it now, because when the open source work starts going in, people are going to be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What's that?
Do you know when the announcement went out? I mean, obviously it went out.
It went out, so there was an announcement as part of the keynote. It went out to a number of the news outlets. And the Scots will be talking about it here
momentarily.
Momentarily, yes. Their session starts in about 10 minutes. You're welcome to have them open on another screen, but don't leave us. We have Charlotte Yarkoni joining us today.
Yes.
We're looking
Very
forward
soon.
to seeing that. Oh yeah. We'll talk about Microsoft Learn with her. So we've gone around about Blazor here. It was on the .NET team Twitter. Yep. So the blog post went out as well. Fantastic.
Awesome. So one.net.
One.net. Again,
One.net.
finally. Right, we're back to it. I'm really happy to hear that, because where .NET Standard was trying to spackle over having all these different .NETs, you're still going to want to write that .NET Standard library, but you'll then be able to choose the appropriate runtime, whether you're running on which platform, but they'll all be identical.
This makes my job a lot easier.
Oh my gosh. And we were talking to Devin about IoT. And whether it's the IoT devices or you're going into the cloud, it's the same .NET.
Yeah. So I always get questions, you know, does it work on ASP.NET Core? Does it work on ASP.NET? Does it work on Framework? Does it work on, you know, the WebAssembly? You know, blah, 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 blah. Now I can just say it just works.
It just works. And so A. Hofling asks, does this mean changes for .NET Standard? Well, there is a little bit of a change coming, because they're going to start to bring in some of the async stream features that are being introduced in C# 8. And that's okay. You can still use .NET Standard 2 with C# 7 and be able to, and C# 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, and you're still in good shape. As well, you know, you're going to start to see some of the interface work come in for spans. That'll start to appear in the standard, and you'll be able to work with those in a relative way, because they need framework support. You can't just change the language with those things without getting framework support. So the runtime can deliver that memory management capability and the network management for the asynchronous streaming capabilities. Really, really great stuff. I encourage you to check out Dustin Campbell and Mads Torgerson's C# session here at Build.
And they've done a lot of work on .NET Core to get the speed of .NET Core just fine-tuned.
There's the speed, the performance being feature first for .NET is such a long time coming, and where folks would say, oh my gosh, reflection is so slow. Oh, I'm sorry, it took 5 milliseconds. 5 milliseconds? Who cares at that point? That's throwaway time. Hey, how's it going? We're getting our picture taken over there. So let's take a look at some other questions here in the chat room. Let's see. That's what the next live broadcast session is about. Yes, there you go. Blazor app to fuel Starbucks, coffee to G Fuel, and you never know. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. Sushi Day. There's another one of our live coding friends. That's Allison Day. She also does a cooking stream on the weekends at Sushi. Is it Sushi Cooks? Make sure you check out her stream. But she's been making fish models for a fishing game on her stream. Really great to see you. Thanks so much. Yes, it is
Lots of developers that also cook.
There's something
noticing
about that. Yeah, developers cooking, developers in music. There's a nice mix there between these.
Do you cook? Put you on the spot.
I make food. My wife wouldn't say that I cook.
Okay, I do. So I
barbecue.
love cooking.
I barbecue.
Yeah.
That's about it.
So we got Chef Brent. We got
Chef Brent. Absolutely.
Lots of others.
Yeah.
I've seen cookbooks by coders. I can't remember exactly who put that out.
A couple years ago, there was a big cookbook for coders that went around. That was really cool to see. Everybody wrote little recipes that went in there. Somebody had put in a recipe for macaroni and cheese. Like, really? I mean, do developers need to know what that is? Oh my gosh. So Simon says, not sure conceptually it would mean .NET Standard is just a standard, the same way browsers support web standards. Yes, and just like with .NET Standard, we can swap out the runtime underneath of it. When .NET 5 comes in, .NET Standard, you'll still be able to write, and it'll get consumed and applied to those runtimes appropriately. We need to make sure nobody bumps the table. We came real close there.
Yeah, we've got the mono runtime for Xamarin.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
We've got mono runtime for WebAssembly. We've got the .NET runtime for doing things like ASP.NET Core and desktop applications.
That server cloud optimized one. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we'll just be able to run across the board. It'll be nice.
It'll be very, very nice. Are we allowed to talk about 3.0 Preview 5? Yes, Isaac. It was released. The camera was shaking a bit. I know, because there's actually a couple folks wandering by here. So I think we have another couple guests here ready to go.
Are we ready to go? All right.
All right.
I'll see you again in a little bit.
Thanks so much, Ed. And we will swap out there. So it goes underneath so that the microphone comes out the bottom underneath your... There you go. This is Jerome from Uno Platform. Nice to meet you, Jerome. Thanks so much for joining us. So why don't you give folks a quick intro to what the Uno Platform is if they haven't seen it yet?
So the Uno Platform is about sharing XAML and C# code on iOS, Android, and WebAssembly.
Okay, so there's where we're going to get our user interface design, not just our code like with .NET Standard and Blazor, but our user interface design running common across all three.
Exactly, and it's been very interesting because we've been developing that for the past 5 years or so.
Oh.
It's been very interesting, and now that we've been able to push all that on iOS and Android, there's WebAssembly that's come in.
Yeah,
and it makes a lot of fun.
But when I think about making XAML work on iOS and Android, you've already got Xamarin there.
Yes.
You've already got a little bit of Mono there to support.
Yes.
So when Mono became available as part of Blazor, now you've got almost the exact same runtime. Was it hard making that conversion so that it ran with Mono in the browser?
No, actually, we were just we seen Blazor at the time, and we just took the Mono runtime that's underneath. So it's about just taking Mono as a command line tool, and we made a small package that was based on something that Frank Kruger made.
Yes.
He made something for OE, and we took the underlying technology that he made to make a small package for that. And now it's easy to make a small, take a standard library, add some main file, and then make it run there for just a simple console write line. And then we added Uno on top of that. So it's about getting all the XAML and C# running in there.
All in one concise development tool set.
Yes, using Visual Studio and all of it.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
I love hearing that. Now, I'm a web guy, so I look at XAML and I'm always thinking, where's my divs and spans? How do I drop CSS in here? But to have that great experience running across it, you must have good designer support then as well.
It's the Windows one.
Exactly.
That's the Windows one. So you basically a UWP app that comes from Windows, and then use the designers there, use the hot reload technology that Microsoft has made for UWP, and that works really well. And then just make it run on iOS, Android, and then the web for WebAssembly, which is using WebAssembly.
Oh, so do you go through writing things to actually translate the XAML to HTML?
Oh, internally, yes. Internally, basically the XAML is created at runtime, and then it gets rendered to UI labels for iOS. It gets rendered to text view for Android, and then it gets to whatever's relevant for the web. So it can be divs, it can be EPs, it can be images or anything that goes for that. So and can be switched in between. So for instance, for iOS, a UI label could be something, or maybe not a UI label, but let's say something like a button, for instance. A button could be a native button, but it could also be something like the full XAML control using visual states and all that. So it can be both. And it can be changed at runtime as well. So you can style it and change between a native button and a XAML button.
Okay. Now, do you see much difference between the two? Why would I choose between a native button and a XAML button?
The native button uses the
the
UI
HTML.
language. No, on iOS and Android.
Okay.
But you can do that for HTML as well. You could use the native controls, for instance, an input. You could use the native input that comes from HTML to enter text, or to have a button that comes from the native style for HTML. But if you want to have the exact same visual button that's on iOS, Android, and WebAssembly with the web, then you can do the native XAML button, the actual XAML button there. So it's going to be exactly the same.
That makes sense to me. If I want to have a unique look and feel for my application, but I want it the same everywhere.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
But you can choose.
Yes, I love that.
That's the point, choosing. Because there are people that do like having the same thing, but there are others that do like following the guidelines from the platform.
Okay. Let's take a look at the chat room here real quick.
Sure.
Pine Dax says, hello, Jerome. And Simon Jeering, wait, they got WPF in WebAssembly. I was joking when I alluded to that in XAML standard above, but these guys are actually doing it. You guys are doing it.
It's not exactly WPF, it's XAML.
No.
So we're using UWP, but we're looking at WPF as well. I mean, if there's enough demand for that, we may take a look.
Very cool. Pine Dax goes on to compliment and say, great job with WebAssembly and .NET. Is it transpiration of XAML to platform native?
Well, yes. In a way, yes. It's about taking the XAML and going to the native platform. So it's not using Skia, or it's not using any other toolkit or OpenGL for that matter. It could be, but it's not what we're doing, because if we were doing like using Skia or using OpenGL, we would lose anything that goes with IME or autocorrection for text blocks, or using when you right click, or the menus that happen, or the biggest one of all, accessibility.
Yes.
Accessibility, if you lose that, it's a no-go.
So we need to wrap up here real quick. I have another guest standing by, but Carrie Payette there, C. Payette says XAML for life. I think that's fine. You may want to reach out and get in touch with her. She's another one of the live streamers on the team.
Absolutely.
Does a lot of work with XAML here on Twitch. Might be a cool idea to do a stream together.
Absolutely.
On that kind of stuff. Thanks so much.
Thanks very much.
This was great.
Nice jacket.
Love it. All right, and we're out, so you can take off your mic. And we're going to get our next guest in here. Thank you so much.
I thought it would be...
You thought we'd go rainbow beard? Yeah. No, we didn't make the 7,000, so only purple this time. Only purple. Here. Thank you, Jerome. Oh my gosh. And our next guest is coming along. We are very excited to have this young lady joining us. Good to see you. Hello.
Gotta have one of those jackets, man.
Oh my gosh. It's all about the jacket. The microphone goes underneath, and it just wraps over your ear. And then we'll turn on the mic.
All right, did I get it?
There we go. This is Charlotte Yarkoni. Charlotte, it's so good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for joining us here. Now, for folks who don't know, you're in charge of the learning experience. You're in charge of a little bit of the event experience here. Build is a big thing for you, isn't it?
It is a big thing for me, for sure. So my technical job is... I am Corporate Vice President of Commerce and Ecosystems. And
Commerce and Ecosystems.
Yeah.
That's a lot of big words.
That's a lot of big words, it's a lot of syllables, but it's really around answering 3 questions.
Okay.
From a customer perspective, not from any one product perspective, and so that does make my role a little bit unique, because I do sit on the engineering side of the house. But rather than focus on one product, I think about the customer as they think about buying multiple products to build solutions and use them the way they want.
Get that integration across not just one or two little things here, where I might be focused on folks with Visual Studio. You see the entire solution stack.
Exactly.
I gotcha.
So the 3 questions we try to answer is, first and foremost, how do customers discover us?
Okay.
And not just customers who are part of the Microsoft ecosystem, whether they came from Windows or .NET, but customers who are working on emerging platforms and thinking about new things. So open source, clearly a big focus for us. Python, Go, DevOps.
Rust.
Yes, and so a lot of our developer relations, which I am responsible for, and it's a big part of the theme woven into Build, which is very focused on developers, is focused on that advocacy and discoverability. The next question I try to answer with my team is, after they discover us, how do they engage with us?
Okay.
And so that is a lot of our online motions. Super pumped about MS Learn, which was something that came out of my team. Yeah.
Love seeing all that stuff to help folks learn about Azure, get their feet in the door, gamify it too.
Absolutely. I mean, make it an experience that people want to consume, meaning not this long format, in-person kind of YouTube video. It's much more about microservices-based training.
Okay.
That you can consume as you go and at your leisure, and that you actually get rewarded for and can collaborate with others over time as you build more points.
And there's something to be said about the reach for that, because it's translated, because it's available for folks online. Those places that we wouldn't go to, we wouldn't take an Ignite tour to, or folks who can't come to Seattle for Build, they can engage and they can still learn great material online.
Absolutely. And by the way, so the team who built that, their roots were in our docs.microsoft.com platform, which is kind of where we start. Again, they were kind of focused first and foremost on discoverability, making sure if you want to go build a web app that we give you the access to the information to help you do it. And so they've been building out tools like MS Learn, but we also have properties like our marketplaces where customers go to find who are the partners that are involved with either Azure, Dynamics, or M365. And we have a lot of capability what we're building into there as well.
Why build something yourself when you have great partners like Twilio we saw earlier, like folks that we see here from Progress who have built some user interface pieces or services that you can integrate with, and then your customization is much smaller.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love it.
So then my third question, after you discover us and you start engaging with us, how do we just get easier to do business with? And it's not
we Microsoft?
We Microsoft.
Really?
And even our partners on behalf of Microsoft. Okay. So a lot of that is in how we transact today, what are the business models that we enable today. We think about it in three basic ways.
Okay.
How do customers want to buy?
Yeah.
How to directly, where they don't really want to interact with anybody. It's more of a self-service experience. How do we enable our partners to actually be able to transact better, such that customer may never see Microsoft, but the partner selling on behalf of Microsoft. And then the third area is, our own field and our sales staff, and how do we just get easier to do business with, both from today and what we support today, but also with a view into, in the future, what are the business models that are going to create more value, right?
Yeah. And that's something that I talk to my daughters about, that, as they look forward, hey, what am I going to do when I graduate high school? What's going to be a career? The future is so unknown, we can barely tell what's happening a year or two out.
Yeah.
So that's a really hard question to answer.
It is, but it's all about agility, and it's meeting. Actually, for each one of these questions, for me, it's about meeting the customers where they are. So whether you're a developer, when we think about advocacy and outreach and discoverability, it's not about, hey, by the way, I love Build. It's a fantastic forum. It's actually a super exciting time for me and my team because it's kind of our home turf and we get to showcase a lot of things. However, we love going out into the technical communities that we advocate for and meeting them where they are. In fact, that's where we spend the rest of the year. It's not roaming around the walls of an empty convention hall. It's much more about getting out with the communities and understanding what's important to them and bringing that back. And I would say for each one of these, that's how we came up with Learn. We understood from our customers, whether they were partners or developers, whether it was somebody at 2 o'clock in the morning that wanted to get up to speed on Azure, or whether it's a partner trying to get certified so they could sell Azure, or one of our enterprise customers, they wanted to be able to do it at their own pace and speed. And so creating an online set of content that was meaningful and rich to them, that they could also measure progress, was super important.
Yeah.
And then the Transact side is the same. It's creating the agility such that you can actually enable people to consume what they want when they want it.
Yes.
It's kind of a constant theme for us.
You know what? I think Carrie Payette here in the chat room makes a very good point. Being a developer means always learning. You should never get bored. And when you mention someone, whether it's 2 in the morning and you want to learn, oh my gosh, I have this task I have to get done. Microsoft has something about this, and being able to find that resource and take that quick half-hour lesson
Absolutely.
on Learn is a tremendous resource.
Absolutely.
It really is.
I'm so glad you like it. And I encourage everybody to go check it out, please. At docs.microsoft.com, whack Learn. It's an easy way to go there.
Yeah, and some other folks here, we have Simon is saying that the coverage and the community integration with Docs live samples is tremendous. Have you seen any significant benefits from having that community integration, that open source ability for folks to contribute to Docs?
Absolutely. In fact, again, I want to give a shout out to my team. This was their doing. We were one of the first teams to kind of move on to GitHub several years ago, because what we realized is we could write good content, but when we actually allowed the people who were using our products and services to contribute and help others understand how to use it, we were coming up with great content. And whether it was for first-time users or advanced users that actually wanted to contribute certain scenarios, to even support through our customer support mechanisms, where you can go in to get help, that's tied into our documentation, so that as people learn and create more solutions on Azure, that they contribute back to the documentation and help others be able to build more workloads as well. And so for us, it's been tremendous value. We do measure progress in terms of how much momentum we're getting through each one of these channels around Docs and the quality of our documentation, and it's been fantastic. In the little over 2 years that I've had the group, we went from single-digit million unique users a month to double-digit millions of users every month, and it grows exponentially every time that we engage the community.
Do you also see pull requests growing at a similar rate?
Yes,
for folks contributing?
We do. We do.
And there's something that's very engaging about that and genuine from Microsoft Docs when I can see, here there's a better way to explain something, or this doesn't feel quite right, and be able to, instead of opening a bug report or sending an email to someone and waiting for that process to happen, but to say, well, let me just suggest something with that pull request.
Absolutely.
Tremendous.
It is. It's been fantastic, and really, really appreciate the community helping us create a better usable experience for our customers, where Docs is kind of the tip of the spear from my perspective in terms of where we start with our really rich content and growing out other experiences like Learn and so forth.
Yeah. IH Developer is asking, what's the difference between Learn and MVA? MVA, the Microsoft Virtual Academy, we've kind of moved on from there, and we're encouraging folks to go to Learn.
That's right. So, look, we have many different learning platforms. And again, back to my previous point, we still have long-form learning. We still have certification academies. We have multiple repositories. I think for online microservices-based learning, we are in the process of trying to put as much relevant content on MS Learn. So today it actually also includes M365, it includes Dynamics,
terrific.
It includes Power Platform, it's not just Azure. And as we get more content there, we are seeing a need to kind of centralize, because maintaining content in multiple places typically means at one point, and you dilute the content, because at one point you can't keep the quality the same across all, and you start your users are like, which one's being updated when and where. So Learn is for us that central repository, because again, it's built on top of our Docs platform, which is our source of truth. And so the fact that we built it on top of Docs, it kind of starts there. That's where we build our learning paths, because we can see from the community what people are doing and what they really want to see in terms of creating new modems and new paths for learning. And then from there, we build that and work very closely with the product teams to extend. But even our certification courses and things like that are starting to be based on top of MS Learn. So for us, when it comes to learning, that's kind of the platform we're grounding on. When it comes to the baseline for the content, it's all built on top of Docs.
Very cool. Simon has an interesting point here. I'm not going to read the whole comment, but Simon's pointing and looking for a holistic, very complex, real-world example that ties in all the pieces there. Now, I think we've seen a little bit of that with the Tailwind Traders demo that we saw as part of the last Connect, and in some of the demos, some of the keynotes that we saw at Ignite, and even a little bit at Build last year. but that has a bit of that cross-cutting type of sample that you might be looking for, Simon. But I like that idea of having, after you've learned all these things, here's a whole system that shows everything working together.
And we're starting to build some of those scenarios out. For example, for people moving workloads to the cloud. We have a whole area we call Cloud Adoption Framework.
Okay.
Again, it starts with our docs and some of the reference material that we're pulling together there. But it also includes a lot of samples that we're putting out there. In terms of end-to-end demos and scenarios, I will have to kind of circle back to see exactly what he's looking for, because we probably still have that in a few places. But is it okay for him to just reach out to me?
It's up to you.
I'm at C. Yarconi on Twitter. If you want to just DM me, that's awesome.
Let's see if we can just type that into the chat real quick. C. Yarconi.
There
like
you go.
that.
Anybody has any follow-ups or is
There you
looking
go.
for some specific material, demos, samples, let me know, and I will route you to the right place and get you what you need. And if we don't have it, we'll build it.
Very cool stuff. Thank you very much for joining us, Charlotte.
Yes,
This was
thank you for
great.
having me.
Oh my gosh.
Where do I get one of these jackets, man? I got to do it.
Oh my gosh,
And
this is
it-
my blazer.
Oh.
Look at that. I'm on color. All right, I got the purple for Visual Studio and the blazer hat. We're going to be heading over doing some Visual Studio demos later. It's
Awesome. It's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and you're out.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Fantastic. Thank you,
And I
Charlotte.
love the beard.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I kept the beard from the Visual Studio launch. Oh, yeah. We got to reach out to folks here on Twitch and show some love. Hey. Oh, my gosh. Another longtime friend joining us. This is Walt Risher. Walt. Let's get you on the microphone here so the folks can hear you. This goes underneath.
Which ear?
Whichever one you'd like. We found the right ear to be good there. So, yep, it goes underneath.
Underneath?
Yep, the
I
boom
didn't
comes
get on
underneath.
the cast because I can't get the microphone.
They can't hear you. There you go.
Good?
You're good.
All right.
All right. This is Walt Risher. How's
Hi.
it going, Walt? Good to
Good.
see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
So, actually, that's a little bit away. Let's see if we can. It's not going to get in closer, is it? Tuck it underneath your earlobe a little bit like this. You see it there? There we go. That's
Thanks
better.
for the time. I gotta go.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. So, Walt, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi,
for
I'm
folks
Walt
who-
Richer. I work at LinkedIn Learning, which is a part of LinkedIn. Been doing Microsoft development since the mid-90s.
And you're a longtime speaker in the speaker circuit?
Yes.
So
I'm not speaking here, but my
No,
next
no.
conference is VS Live in Boston. I think it's the next one I go to.
And at LinkedIn Learning, you're producing courses.
Yes.
You're helping build a little bit of the platform, working on
Yeah,
some stuff
so LinkedIn Learning, I'm what's called a staff instructor. So my job is to produce content and help strategize what's going to be the next big thing, where to put our money for creating courses.
creating great educational content that kind of supplements the Learn things that we were talking about. Learn's a great platform for folks to get in and get those initial things if you want the bite-sized stuff. But if you want the long-form courses, go over to LinkedIn Learning.
Right, and then it's part of. So LinkedIn Learning is part of LinkedIn. So if you have a LinkedIn subscription, you also get LinkedIn Learning. So a lot of our customers are not developers. LinkedIn Learning is trying to do any skill you would need as a professional. Want to have a course for it. So like
Not
you,
just software development.
you're a developer, right? But
Okay.
let's say you move into management,
Yeah.
and you're like, I don't know anything about management. We got a ton of courses on management. We got stuff on workflows, how to and we got all the business courses like Excel. And I'm assuming we're going to be doing a lot of new stuff with the Power Platform and the.
Well, actually, Lewis Hendricks here in the chat room is suggesting put your money into Blazor courses.
Yes.
They're stylish. Well, they're very...
That's not the Blazor he's talking about.
Oh.
He's talking about, Microsoft has this thing called Blazor.
Yes.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I think so. And when it's going to be, it's in the product release line now, right? It's going to be an official product.
It's going to be productified. Is that a word? It's
productized.
Yes. Productized. That's the word
one.
we were looking for.
Yeah.
Yes. And we're going to see the first server-side components.
This is my friend Eric.
with ASP.NET Core 3, and the client-side pieces are going to follow a little bit later once we get them firmed up and they're reliable. So we're looking forward to that. It's going to be tremendous. So, but this is our first conference where we can really come out and talk about Blazor and have a good time with it. We're really excited about it on the team.
Been talking to the Microsoft Teams.
The Teams folks.
Yeah, the Teams folks.
The Teams team.
And also the extensibility for Office 365.
Yeah.
And I think in the long run, platforms like that would benefit from Blazor too. For instance, like right now, if you're in Office 365 and you want to do an Excel plugin or add-in, you write it in JavaScript or TypeScript.
Sure.
And there's still a lot of people that haven't moved there, especially in the enterprise world.
Yeah, they're all thumbs with JavaScript.
Right. So if you could write a DLL, plug it into the browser with Blazor.
Yes.
Right. So that would be your business logic, and then you could build the UI in Excel using HTML.
And then your HTML you can deploy. It's now a fixed application. It could be shipped as part of Teams or
Excel or whatever. Yeah. So they do build your business logic in a DLL that you can deploy in the browser. That's the way I'm thinking about it. Are they still DLL? Are they DLLs? Do you know?
They are still DLLs.
Okay.
I love it when a plan comes together. Absolutely. They're DLLs that ship in the browser, and it's great when you start up that Blazor application with client-side interactions. You can watch the DLLs be downloaded. It was weird the first time I saw things like system.xml, right? System.net come down. I'm like, I wasn't expecting this.
Because it automatically pulls them because they're referenced by your code.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Very, very cool stuff. Daniel says, annoyed you missed the code party. Sorry about that. That was last night. Came here to see the Blazor hat. Look at that. That's my brand new custom Blazor hat. I get my hats custom made before I show up at events like this.
Silk screened?
No. These are embroidered.
Oh, nice.
I don't do that silk screening stuff.
And did you have this custom made too?
No, this was an Amazon purchase. And
I thought you were Ward when I came up behind you.
No. Ward Bell is a lot more stylish than me. I just wear purple sequins because I like it.
It looks good.
It does. Thank you so much.
And it matches. I noticed it matches your UI here.
So, yep, Twitch has the same purple user interface. Visual Studio. Right? We've got Visual Studio down here in purple also.
Right.
Of course. Only the best for the hat collection. Absolutely. So it is. We're really excited. So, what are you looking forward to this week here at Build?
Well, so far, I don't know what I'm looking. I wanted to see. There's something on XAML Islands and another XAML talk. I've always been a long time XAML devotee, so I wanted to hear what they're going to talk about that and the whole new idea of having a XAML island where you can plug in a UWP app. You can plug your WinForms. That sounds interesting to me. I don't know where we'll go with that, but I'm also all the Azure stuff was really cool. But I was really impressed today with what I saw for the Power Platform.
Yes.
So Power Apps Flow, the integration with Power BI, and the Excel stuff I talked about. So I've been trying to go around to the booths. I don't know if there's any sessions yet. I haven't looked. I'm
not familiar with that part of the session catalog, but there's definitely a lot to see here. There's more than 200 sessions as part of Build, and those will, of course, all be available later offline for folks that are interested that might not be here and might be watching on Twitch.
If you want to watch it and you're not watching him on Twitch, then you should watch the streams.
So,
what I would say.
Very cool stuff. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Walt.
Thanks for joining us.
This was great having you. And, we're going to be doing a lot more of this throughout the rest of the week here at Build.
All right.
Take care. And you're out. You can take that off. Hop out. Thanks so much for joining us. All right. I think we have another guest lined up. My friend Sarah's bringing over here. He's not sure if he wants to come on. He thinks there's a little bit too much purple over here for him. We're going to bring him over here. I'm on the ball with the audio levels. Thank you, Skull Crusher. I learned from last night. This is Joseph Hill. Hello. Go ahead and wrap that. The boom goes underneath. There you go. And we'll light up your microphone.
Hello.
It is so good to see you, Joseph. Thanks so much for joining us.
We can see you from across the floor.
You can see me from across the floor. We need light here, and it'll reflect like a disco ball.
Yeah,
it would be amazing. So we've got great folks out there in the Twitch chat room. So for folks who don't know who you are, Can you give them the quick elevator pitch?
Sure. So I'm Director of PM for Visual Studio for Mac and Xamarin. Came to Microsoft via Xamarin, so
Okay.
I've been in the .NET space for a long time.
For a long, long time. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Back in the Mono days.
And we're hearing things about .NET 5, and we've had folks asking questions about .NET 5 in the chat room. That unification is such a big move.
Yes. Oh, I think I think it's something that we struggled with. I think developers in the community have struggled with understanding what's the plan, how do these pieces fit together, and we've been working towards something, and I guess that's what they're talking about today.
Yep.
So I think. It took a while to get everything.
On the spot,
I'm
sorry.
No, but
without spoiling.
Yeah,
the
without
goods.
getting. Yeah, but I mean, it's there's a lot of moving pieces there. So like finding the pieces that make sense here, layered with that, and coming out with something that's cohesive. I think people will be very pleased, especially people that have been watching Xamarin and asking like what's going on with Xamarin and Mono and .NET Core. So yeah, it's good stuff.
The ability for Xamarin to start consuming and using some of the .NET Core resources, and to cross-pollinate, and now we see Blazor using a little bit of Mono. It just feels right to be able to choose those runtimes and truly have a .NET standard that we're able to code against.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, love seeing that. And Visual Studio for Mac just had a big release.
So we released Visual Studio for Mac 2019, same shipping timeline as Visual Studio 2019, and we're super excited for that because it starts to bring in big pieces of Visual Studio, the editor.
Yeah.
If you get Visual Studio for Mac today, you can try out the editor with C#. You go into your C# settings and say use the new editor. That should be on by default in the very near future. And I've been, one of the things that's been exciting to talk about people here on the show floor is with that we're starting to give a really good .NET Core, ASP.NET Core story in compliments to Xamarin.
It is.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Joseph, the other day we were, all through May, we do May is for Macs on my stream. We're going to program with .NET, all on the Macintosh, all month long. And I was trying to use Visual Studio Code with ASP.NET Core 3. So we're in those preview versions. And I didn't have the right version of the C# runtime, the C# plugin for Visual Studio Code. And we went over to Visual Studio for Mac, and it just worked.
Good to hear. Yes.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And the folks that were watching us on stream were saying, you got to use Visual Studio for Mac.
You should.
Because it's smooth, it just works, and you get all those great features you expect as a Visual Studio 2019 user.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and I'm super pleased with it, especially with how we've been developing the ASP.NET Core story. We've been pushing hard on that as kind of as a focus for getting that up to par with 2019.
And you definitely feel it now.
Yeah. And it should be. Yeah, I mean, it's an IDE. It's our IDE on the Mac, and it should make all those things simple. Yeah, like if you don't want to be, it's more than an editor. So,
oh my gosh, yes. It's not just right. Visual Studio Code's our editor. It's that IDE. Bring everything together, and the fact that looking forward then to the .NET 5 announcement means it's just going to get even better.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Because we're not going to have to juggle things.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, tremendous. Now, as we look forward to that next minor version of Visual Studio for Mac, is there anything you can sneak and tell us about the next minor version coming?
Well, I mean, I don't know that it's too sneaky, but I mean, really, like I said,
come on now.
The pull was getting the Visual Studio editor into the Mac, and the number one focus was C# editing, right?
Okay.
So we wanted to make sure that we had something we could turn on by default, and people would feel like it's a net improvement for C#.
Yeah.
But following that, once we have that core in there, then we get to bring over the XAML tools from Visual Studio and everything else. Basically each of those little pieces that depend on the editor can follow suit. So it's like pulling on a yarn, on the
and
thread
it's
there.
all starting to come over here.
Yeah.
IH Developer asks, does it have the same features? It's pretty close.
So the editor has largely the same features. In fact, I would say that one of the things that really made us hesitant at the end to turn it on by default in 8.0 was that Visual Studio for our old editor itself did a couple of extra nice things for C# that we didn't have. So that's where the priority was missing. We didn't want the editor to actually regress the experience for people that were expecting to have options for different event handlers when you're picking your autocomplete for that. But by and large, the editor features themselves should hit for C# editing should hit all the major points that you get in Visual Studio. Well, more than the major points. You should be pretty comfortable with it.
Oh yeah. I was very comfortable when I made that adjustment. All right. I mean, I'm used to using Visual Studio Code a little bit, but it always feels like I'm missing that one little thing. And when we switched over to Visual Studio for Mac, once I applied the key binding set, so it had the same shortcut keys.
Yeah.
It was like I didn't miss a thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's great for that. Like when I get a little hesitant when people say, "What is?" Like, does it have everything for Visual Studio? Because it's not. It's not. It's not your WPF, C++, MFC development environment. But at least as far as we aim to be a great IDE for .NET developers, and it's getting better every release.
So I've got to ask the $1 million question we always hear. What about live share?
Yes.
Is that going to be a thing?
It will be a thing. We don't have it on the roadmap officially, slotted in, because there's so much more of the experience that developers expect today that's at the top of the list. It's pretty important.
It's on the radar, but not on the roadmap yet.
Correct,
it's in the parking lot. We're figuring out where to slot it in.
Yeah. I think you would definitely have our developers be dissatisfied if you said, "Here's live shared," and be like, "Oh, that's great," and all these other things are broken. So I'm real happy you prioritize that.
Okay.
But I want it. We'll do it when the time's right. It's absolutely, that makes sense. And there's and again, it's another case where the sequencing of things, getting the editor in there so that we're using the same editor, and the other pieces that we can share with Visual Studio,
get that
enable the path
experience
for that
up to parity.
Yeah.
And then go out and bring in some of those other things.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you. Is that Dan Siegel? Love that you brought up the elephant in the room. We really want live share. All right, Dan. Well, now we appreciate your feedback there, and absolutely, the team's hearing it.
Yeah, we are,
right?
definitely.
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
No, it's a great feature, and when we've used it in Visual Studio and VS Code, and we want it, but yeah, like I said, we want to get
some of those other features in.
We want you to have a great experience.
So, are there other features that you're specifically targeting right now?
Are there
that you can talk about?
No, not really. Yeah,
it's illegal in 9 countries to talk about that right now.
Yeah.
Canada, they can talk about it, but we're in the States. Sorry, can't talk about it.
Well, it's just that, it's more so it's just that I actually talked about the things that are really consuming our attention, which is, I already told you about the XAML editing and the other features that come behind C#. So, yeah.
And when we see folks like our friends from Uno that are doing that XAML editing that works great for iOS, Android, and for WebAssembly, they must feel really comfortable then using Visual Studio for Mac then for their tools.
I need to go talk to them. Where are they at?
You got to meet the Uno folks.
Oh, I know that. I haven't spoke to them specifically about it. I love what they're doing. At least as far as they're they've been they were on board with the WebAssembly thing right away, and obviously, I think they have a complimentary story to Xamarin Forms, because it basically hits what a lot of people asked for from Xamarin Forms that were like, that's not what Xamarin Forms is going to do.
Right.
So I like what they're doing, and like I said, I like that they really got WebAssembly right away. I just haven't talked to them about Visual Studio for Mac, so I should do that.
So Uno folks, if you're out there watching, Joseph needs to find you. Oh my goodness.
I know where they are. I saw their sign. Yeah, they're good. They're well positioned here.
That was
so
a song. I saw the sign.
Yeah.
I opened up my eyes.
Yeah.
And I saw the sign.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to let you go.
All right. Well, thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, this is tremendous. Yep. And check out Visual Studio for Mac.
Yeah. Well, Maze for Macs, we should talk more. We'll enable you to do some more stuff there.
Oh, let's absolutely. Maybe we'll find our friend Michaela.
Yeah, she's right over here. I just saw her. I'll go hunt her down for her. I'll send her this way.
Wander by. We're only going to be on for a little bit longer here, but we'll be back tomorrow.
Okay.
And doing lots more streaming from here.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell her she should get on the queue there for you then.
Very cool. Thank you
so much.
All right.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
All righty. Ace of Base Karaoke says, no, we're not going to start singing. That's a very bad idea. You don't want to hear me singing. All righty. There you go. And there goes Joseph Phil. Oh my gosh. It's always tremendous when you get these folks that have that level of influence in how the projects are built, how these things fit together as developer tools here at Microsoft, and are really the thought leaders driving how these things are going to develop. Now we're going to bring Ed back in here.
Hi, Jeff. Have we met before?
I think we have. How's it going there, Ed?
Going good.
So have you made it around? Have you talked to some of the other folks here? Seen the floor, things that we need to pay attention about here at Build?
There is so much going on right now. It's a bit overwhelming. We have kiosks for everything.
Yeah.
One of the things I was just scoping out was ML.net.
ML.net. Go ahead. Tell me
How
about
cool
ML.
is ML.net? So if you are into machine learning,
Yep.
as I am, you can now write machine learning models in .net and run them inside of your .NET apps.
Yes.
So you can train, you can test, you can do everything.
That custom model. Not that you don't need the general cognitive services that are running out on Azure, but you need
Which
something.
those are awesome too.
They're tremendous. But you need something customized because you've got a specialized data set you need to work with. You can do that all with ML.net.
Do it in ML.net with C#, so you don't have to learn R or Python, or not that there's anything wrong with those languages, but you don't have to go outside of your comfort zone.
There's something to be said about Python, though, and being able to use the Jupyter notebooks, test things out, project graphs, and you're not breaking anything. You know, it's code that's quickly interpreted. It'll run in a Docker container, you know? So I don't have to think about it, just throw some code at it and see what happens.
What's really cool too is if you do want to use Python and all of those things, you can build your model,
Okay.
and as long as it's an Onyx model format,
Yes.
you can then pull that into your .NET ML and exercise the model.
Yeah.
So that's really cool as well. So you
Yeah.
can use things from an ecosystem, right?
Mm-hmm. Dan Siegel asks, love that we brought up the elephant in the room, really want live share. I'm sorry, Skull Crusher for life. So Sarah, we have a question from the chat room. Do we have anyone lined up to talk about SQL on edge devices? Maybe we can set someone up for tomorrow. We'll definitely get that in the list there, Skull Crusher. Thanks so much for the suggestion. Ancient Coder's been hanging with us, a tremendous resource here in the chat room. Absolutely. B. Scolaro is questioning, absolutely, Kendo UI is a very big thing. Integrates and works with all the JavaScript frameworks.
Kendo UI works on jQuery. It's been rewritten from scratch to work on Angular, and rewritten again to work on React. It also works on Vue. So we've got all the four.
Does it work on Upshot? No, I'm not going there. Not going there. Oh my goodness.
Works with all of the major JavaScript frameworks that are out there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter which one you choose, you get the same Kendo UI experience. You get the same themes. So you could share the theme across any of those things, including Blazor and .NET MVC and Core. So it works everywhere.
It's tremendous. You gotta use it out there. And yes, and Blazor, absolutely. So I think somebody's just wandered up here that I think we want to bring in here. Can we?
Yeah,
bring in this
absolutely. We'll give up the microphone for this guy.
We got to bring in. We've got another guest over here. I just saw him wandering by. No. We want to talk to somebody who knows a lot. Yeah, absolutely. This is the boss. Here he comes. You're getting all tangled up in your nameplate there, buddy.
Tangled.
San Diego's own. There you go. It goes underneath so that the boom hangs out here. Let me turn off Ed's nameplate. There you go. Jump up in there.
Hi.
How's it going? This is... You in there? All right, you're in.
I'm in.
This is Tim Huckabee from
Hi.
Internology.
Yeah.
Good to see you, sir. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for
Wandering
having me.
by.
It's this jacket that caught my attention.
It brings the friends into the room.
Holy cow, you look good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My wife saw the beard and said, "You look 10 years younger." You didn't even notice the beard,
I didn't even notice the beard. Wow.
That's commitment.
You are not from Philadelphia.
I am not. My gosh, I look like I'm from Seattle this week. Or Vegas.
Yeah. So what are you doing here? A little.
So we're talking to our friends out here on Twitch. You can see her here on the left. There's the chat room there.
Wow. There's quite a few people out there.
Our friend Carrie Payette says the XAML fan club is all here. Now, what does...
Thank you for that.
So for the folks that don't know who you are, you run Internology.
Well, I don't run Internology.
Come on now.
I would be the figurehead.
The figurehead.
There's
all
smart
right.
people that run Internology, yeah.
And what does Internology do?
A lot of high-end, a lot of cutting-edge, really high-profile software.
Big stuff, important, high-tech things.
Yeah, that's why it'll always be a small company because there's
move fast and break things.
There's only one CNN, right? You build a piece of software for CNN, and that's it.
Okay.
Right? And that's what most people would know us from. The Magic Wall app on CNN during the elections, the big map, which is a giant WPF DirectX application. And
.NET Framework 4.7.
When we first built that during the Obama election,
Yeah.
the first one, we tested that XAML stack really hard.
Yeah?
In fact, Microsoft was bug fixing. I shouldn't say this. What the hell? Microsoft was bug
Nobody's
fixing.
watching us. Nobody's watching us, Tim, okay?
Yeah, so we were catching bugs in the XAML stack, and they were fixing them like daily. It was awesome.
Oh my goodness.
So a lot of our work is protected by NDA, which is a drag. But yeah, that's the type of work we do. We had 2 keynote demos today.
2 keynote demos.
Yeah, that we built.
Inconceivable! How cool were they? Oh, we've got all the sound effects here.
What the hell was that?
Absolutely. That was inconceivable. It was inconceivable. 2 demos and CNN.
So we were lucky enough to work on the Azure Spatial Anchors
Azure
thing.
Spatial Anchor.
That's for those of you
Go
who
ahead.
just heard about it today.
Yeah.
Only Microsoft could pull this off because you can literally map the world to a 2-inch resolution.
Hang on. The world's a pretty big place. Down
Yeah.
to 2 inches?
So virtual
gotta be
anchors, virtual places.
And
that-
on this tabletop,
and this
there's
isn't just a
hundreds.
HoloLens. Yeah. Technically, if you wanted to put hundreds of anchors here, but this isn't just a HoloLens thing. It's your iPhone, your Android too.
Okay.
So you stumble into these things. You just hold your phone at it, and you get this awesome augmented reality, holographic. The use case would be like we're in a manufacturing company. There's a bunch of sensors.
Sure.
And instead of running over to a keyboard and you just point your phone at it, and
it knows where it is in
and
space.
it shows you everything about it. So that's Smart Hotel 360 MR. If you're here at Build, check out that demo. It is
Okay.
so awesome. And then the other.
We'll have to find that demo and link it to the video when we post this out to YouTube later.
Okay.
But I got to ask you something that we've discussed around some of those things around spatial technologies. There's always a question around privacy.
Yes.
Is that a concern when
Oh,
you're mapping things
God.
to that?
So,
Oh,
Fritzy,
boy.
we've had this talk before.
We have.
I feel
over a couple of fine adult beverages.
I feel like I should have been a privacy law lawyer.
Really?
I know so much about privacy law, it's embarrassing.
The Europeans with GDPR are going to love it.
Well, GDPR is its own monster, right?
Well, privacy.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
I don't. Help me out, Tim.
Well, in the U.S., it's very complicated.
It is.
Because we have a federal law for privacy that is being challenged by the big software companies.
Okay.
Well, not Microsoft, but Google and Facebook are suing the United States federal government. We have state law that is in conflict with our federal law.
Really?
So the state of Illinois, Texas, and what's the third one? The third one
It's
that
not
are in
California.
conflict. No, it's not California.
Okay.
That are in conflict with the federal law, and now we have city law. Like the city of San Francisco is in conflict with the state of California, which is in conflict with the federal law. So it's complemented. As developers, we just need to be responsible because we have so much power.
Yes.
With cognitive services, you could basically click, suck up their REST API and be doing facial recognition with crazy good accuracy in like 5 minutes.
It's illegal in 9 countries.
It's illegal in 9 countries, Tim, isn't it?
And
probably more than 9.
Well, what's illegal from a federal level is when my wife goes into Facebook and tags me and puts my name on it, that breaks privacy law. So we have policymakers that need to catch up to technology. Oh yeah, it's not as easy to fix as you think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's actually one of the reasons that Facebook is suing the United States federal government, because the process of tagging someone is native to Facebook people. It's native to social media.
Okay.
So you have been breaking privacy law just in your everyday. You, Fritzy.
I know. I don't tag people. I am not. So, true story. You're going to appreciate this.
Okay.
Our friend Dee Dee Walsh.
Dee Dee. I love her. Is she here?
She's a friend. She's around.
Okay.
She took off. Probably off to go find something else, some sugary treat. She loves sugar. Last Saturday night, I was out at a Kentucky Derby party event.
Okay.
Took a picture of my wife and I, nice selfie, and I went to share it on Facebook because it's a picture of my wife and I want to share this nice picture. And I went and I tagged myself, and of course it knows who I am because who would misrecognize this face?
Yeah, right.
And then I went to tag my wife, and it came up with 3 options: Jeff Fritz, Mrs. C# Fritz, and Dee Dee Walsh. That's weird.
That's heavy. That is super heavy.
Right.
Because the AI went out there and associated a picture of you and Dee Dee somewhere.
And now
What did you do?
What did you do, Facebook? Why are you pitching this to me? I don't get it.
Yeah.
But that feels like another privacy
That
issue.
feels a little creepy, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
So you brought it up because we do a lot of this on the edge and we do it in the cloud. Typically, we're looking for a bad guy, though. And when you're in security, how do you say this politically correctly? In security, there's
We're
some
on Twitch.
rules.
There's nothing politically correct here. You're on with the guy with the purple beard and sequin jacket. Come on, Tim.
If you're doing security, you could pretty much overcome some of the rest of the world's rules, so to speak.
Okay.
So,
because I restrict the access to it through security.
Well, we're looking for the bad guy. Like our software, the visibility software caught this mass murderer on the loose in South Africa 2 weeks ago. He was at a 7-Eleven.
Hang on. Wait. Hang on. We got to back up a second there. Let's rewind. Your software caught somebody in South Africa.
Yeah. It's like it sent an alert to the authorities with 67% confidence. This is Joe Mass Murderer.
Okay.
And it sends, and then shoot, they know where he is, so they deploy and try to get him.
Well, I think the first clue.
So that's good.
The first clue was a bad guy. His name was Joe Mass Murderer, right?
That's artificial intelligence for good.
Okay, yeah, it is. That's definitely good. But then there's folks like the NSA, right? And we see movies like Enemy of the State, and we cringe.
Or there's certain countries where there just is no privacy law, and they begin with a C, and they're giant, and they have billions of people. They're
Canada.
A commune. You're just watched everywhere you go.
In Canada.
Well, this would be China, actually, but...
Oh. All right, well, you said C, and I thought it ends with an A. Canada, of course. The Canadians... Carrie Payette's going to take off on me here. So, yeah, I bet they're a little bit about that.
So another thing I'm working on that I just am enamored with is, the child trafficking and stolen children is still a huge problem worldwide.
It is.
So I met these PhDs from Canada that are working on an aging algorithm.
Really?
So the kid gets stolen like a decade ago. Well, you age them to current date, and then you put them in the recognition database. And then if we
you get a better approximation.
Yeah, with 48% confidence, I think this is Joe missing child from.
Wow.
Yeah, that. We find one of those people, and it makes every hassle I've ever had worth it.
Let me just pull back the covers on that a little bit. When I think about aging someone, you're going to take into account a little bit of what their parents look like, right? Do they have to get a little bit of the parents' information?
Fritzy, to me, it's rocket science.
The
machine learning model for computer vision that these PhDs are doing is just nuts.
Yeah?
It's nuts.
Oh, man.
And you see a little bit in the movies, but that's not good enough. That tech is not good enough. If we're going to say, hey, that's a stolen child in a grocery store or something, you got to have some confidence.
You got to have pretty good confidence.
You can't half-ass
that 30% isn't enough. You're going to need to get closer to 60 to 70.
Right. And I developed with the team. Actually, I built the thing, and then real engineers took over. But we also do weapon recognition in real time.
Oh, wow.
Over commodity cameras. So just like the surveillance cameras that are here. All we do is intercept
there's surveillance cameras? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. They're everywhere.
Really? If I wear the jacket just right, we can take them out.
Yeah.
Let's go to the chat room. There's a couple folks here that have some comments for you.
Okay.
Carrie Payette says, I need Tim as a lawyer. Wow, lots of knowledge.
You don't need me as a lawyer, Carrie. No.
So Simon says, the irony is GDPR trumps it all because everyone is trading globally. Yeah, I think they're right on that one.
Everyone is what globally?
Is trading globally. Because you're online, you're involved in some European could touch your website.
Yeah,
you're exposed to GDPR.
The GDPR thing is interesting because, the intent was good.
Yes, but it's
unfortunately
viral.
The execution was really poor. So
by the governments or by businesses?
No, by the governments.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of the Fortune 1000 that just are ignoring GDPR and going to pay the fine because it's written
it costs less.
Yeah. The fines are cheaper than changing your entire loyalty system. If you're one of those giant companies, re-architecting and rebuilding your loyalty system to overcome some tiny little capture of customer data. I mean, come on, it's not going to do it. So, like when HIPAA came out, it stifled innovation until they fix it. So I'm confident
they're going to fix GDPR.
Yeah, they'll
GDPR v2.0.
They'll fix GDPR to be a little more developer retail friendly.
And the way you're describing that reminds me of how there are folks in Philadelphia that won't pay to park. They'll still park wherever because it's cheaper to pay the parking ticket than to pay for parking.
Right.
So, yes, this is Tim Huckabee from Internology. And the folks are saying, oh, I recognize Tim Huckabee. I recognize him from .NET Rocks. Of course, Tim's been on .NET Rocks.
Many, many times.
Ultra Mark says, Mr. Huckabee should start a stream of his own. Maybe we can have you on once or twice to talk about
I'll be a guest.
The state of things.
I'll be a guest. How about
All right.
that?
We'll have to get you on there. Absolutely. GDPR was such an overreach. They have no right to regulate businesses outside the European Union.
Agreed.
They
Agreed.
don't?
Their intent was good, though. So I'm in the process. You may find this. The Europeans will just go, oh, God.
All right, so the European friends, here we go.
They'll agree with me that for our American friends here, I'm in the process of getting a piece of software GDPR compliant.
Okay.
And really about 10% of the effort is technical.
Oh, wow.
90% is doing the legal stuff and filling out paperwork.
Because it's all broken.
Right. Seriously, you pay a lawyer a ton of money, they fill out forms, and they say, hey, you're GDPR compliant. Like 10% is how you persist data and things like that.
Right.
So, whatever.
Oh, my gosh. So
Dan's going to, I'm sure Dan is going to agree with me. Like, complete waste of time.
Complete waste of time for Look, Dan's laughing at it with the laugh out loud. Stelzi's in the UK. GDPR regulates EU citizens everywhere, and everyone that wants to make business with them has to adhere to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where it becomes viral, because we've got websites and things that reach out to those other...
Federal law is federal law.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to deal with it.
It is too gray, Rambling Geek. Rambling Geek's in the UK as well. We've got a lot of folks from the UK tuned in. It's a little bit late in the evening over there, but thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure, Fritzy.
Oh, this is great. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Huckabee. GDPR.
Wait, Master.
Wait about it.
It might be dangerous.
It might be dangerous. We learned that from Marty Feldman how many years ago? And it's still true.
You are one of a kind, Fritzy. Thanks for having me.
It's all about the jacket. Thank you, sir. Don't forget to take that earpiece off. There you go. Don't want to rip that out here. That was Tim Huckabee. Thank you so much. 10:51 in the evening. Sure, we're going to bring on. We've got this will be our final guest. To close it out, go turn it over this way. This goes underneath your ear like this. Yep, just put it over, wrap it around there, and make sure the bit comes around underneath. There you go.
Yeah.
This is a long-time friend, Joel Cochran. Good to see you, Joel.
Good
Thanks
to see
so much
you,
for
Jeff.
joining us.
Absolutely. I think I want to say in advance, perfectly unfair that I have to follow Mr. Huckabee.
Mr. Huckabee.
In this conversation, and I can hear the crickets on your feed already.
The crickets on the feed?
Yes. Let's hear the crickets on the feed.
Crickets.
I know you do.
There
we go. And that's going to be everybody's response to me being on here after Tim. Now, I will say the only thing the crickets are still going. They're still going. Thank you, crickets. I feel so awesome. In contract law, that thing that you all were talking about is called efficient breach.
Efficient
breach, where it's actually more efficient for one party in the contract to
breach,
officially renege on their responsibilities, because it makes more business or financial sense for them to do so.
Yeah. So the folks in the chat room are still ranting about Mr. Huckabee. Look at this. Huckabee is awesome. We need more Tim Huckabee.
More Huckabee. I couldn't agree more. I'm leaving
guest
now.
We've ever had here.
I'm leaving now, and
oh my
we'll
gosh,
bring him back up.
Tim is turning 3 shades of red. He might be there he goes.
He's
running off.
away.
Thanks so much. There goes Tim.
Can't handle the accolades.
So, gosh, Joel, what are you up to this week here? What are you looking forward to seeing here at Build?
That's great. So I'm always kind of just on the lookout for what's next.
Okay. This is a good show for that.
This is a good show for that. And, like last year for me, I've been to several builds, and it's always kind of interesting and cool. Last year was actually a watershed for me because it really finally opened my eyes to serverless, to microservices, to Azure functions. And I've been doing conferences so long, I'm not always that excited. I left Build last year, and I was so excited that I spent months just diving really seriously, and it actually
into serverless and Azure functions.
Azure functions is kind of the core of that, and it actually transformed a lot of our internal operations. So not the the bar is set pretty high. Not saying I will find that again, but that's why I come to these things, and that's what I'm looking for.
There's something to be said about when you walk away from a conference, whether it's Build or Google I/O or Red Hat's event. If you can walk away, or Facebook F8, whatever, when you can walk away and you do have that inspiration, and maybe it's not a big 10,000 person event, but even if it's a user group meeting,
absolutely,
and you've got that little bit of inspiration, when you go back to the office and you say to your coworkers, check out what I learned. Look what Hanselman showed us. Fritz did a thing over here,
right.
and you can get people excited about it. Right, as a technologist, oh, it's like magic.
And it just doesn't happen that often anymore.
No.
I mean, you get kind of set in your ways, and you've been doing this forever, and that's just another version of this thing here. But that was really something transformative, and it excited me again.
Oh, yes.
And it actually had a pretty near immediate impact on our line of business. And and that's what I love. I love it when I run into something like that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Right between cost savings and how it runs, instead of having a virtual machine running all the time, having a function that can sit out there and you only get billed for how it runs?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh. So what kinds of things have you done then with serverless that you can share with us and a bunch of our friends here on the stream? Something interesting you've done out there.
Something interesting that I've done out there. Our business is actually data analytics. So I haven't been building web apps or anything like that for a while. And it sounds like a pretty boring environment, but the truth is it can be really challenging. And we have these massive data sets that come in where we get data, and when I say massive, I mean
hundreds of gigs. Hundreds of terabytes.
Well, so I think of it more in terms of width. We do have hundreds of terabytes.
Wow.
Think of it more in terms of width. So
okay.
So one of our data sets is literally 1,054 columns of data over every adult in the United States.
That would break me.
Yes. So it has broken us at times, and we have actually
1,000 columns. It's insane.
It really is insane, and it's hard to get your mind around that scope if maybe all you've ever done, like me before this job, business apps where customer management and forms over data. You don't do forms over data with 1,000 columns.
No, I want to stop things, pump the brakes.
Yeah.
And the data warehousing guy inside of me says, we want to break that out into star schema, so we've got separate tables for each one of those considerations. You can't have 1,000 properties on the same thing.
So it depends on what the thing is.
Okay.
Right? So our thing right now is Azure Data Lake. And it turns out in something like Azure Data Lake, sure you can. Right?
Mm-hmm. You've got the power to drive that.
You have the power to do that. You have the scalability to do that. You have the job level operation parallelism to do that, to handle those things. And that's only one of our data sets. It's our largest one, which is why I pick it for the example. Okay. But our other data sets, you're talking 600, 700, 800 columns. Again, effectively over every adult in the United States.
Wow.
So it's just a lot of data. And for a guy who usually used to do web apps, and before that WPF apps, and always kind of this businessy line. It's a totally new world.
It's a different scale of things.
It's a totally different approach to dealing with the underlying data, right?
Okay.
And so it actually turns out in our business, the data is the thing. It's not what serves the other things. It is the thing itself, right?
The product is the data.
Yeah. So we have this. There's in this data space. There's kind of I think of it as the 80-20 problem, where you spent historically 80% of your time literally just pushing data around and cleaning data and munging data and all those things, and which leaves you with only 20% of the time to actually do productive things, billable things, right? And we've been working now for years to flip that ratio, and I feel like especially
productize it so that you can. Instead of spending all that maintenance time yak shaving, you can focus on delivering value.
Yes, and more importantly, the other folks who produce that value, they aren't necessarily technologists. They aren't necessarily, they know how to write queries and they know how to analyze data, and they're crazy smart.
Yeah.
They should not be spending their time moving files from point A to point B, right? So that's where a guy like me comes in, where that's what I do. I'll move it. And actually, more important, I'm a great developer. I say that only because I'm crazy lazy. That is my metric for defining who I don't want to do it twice.
Yeah.
So what I build instead are systems and pipelines, and then I automate as much of that as possible,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, and we go back to our talk about Azure functions. That was a big piece of being able to do that.
Okay.
And
so
so
you trigger off of the arrival of data, and you deploy
That's right.
it appropriately.
Yeah, so we're using, I'm actually giving not to, I'll toot somebody else's horn. I'm doing a webinar on the 15th for Kevin Griffin and SwiftKick.
Yes.
Where we talk about doing my talk is going to be on being an Azure polyglot, right? Where it's not enough to be really good at one thing anymore. You've got to be able to bring together all these Lego pieces to build the final structure, And so, like, if we were to go end to end, it would be Azure Blob Storage that fires an event grid event that's being listened to by a Logic app that is calling several Azure functions to build together parameters, that's calling yet another Azure function to kick off an Azure Data Factory.
Oh my goodness.
That is a collection of dependent USQL scripts in Azure Data Lake.
You really need, hang on, I got to go to, wait, if you're going to do this, so you've got, and then you're going to call something else. Call something else.
And that's my point, right? And it goes on and on and on. And then I'll bring it back to Azure Functions. That's I'm sure lots of folks are interested in that. So one of the things we also use functions for is to fill in the missing gaps in the tooling. So I mentioned Logic apps.
Okay.
So if you work backwards from Data Factory, which is a task orchestrator, we use Logic apps as what I call a super orchestrator. So we actually use Logic apps to manage our orchestrators. And so that means we want to be able to execute Data Factory pipelines from Logic apps. So there didn't used to be, but there is now. There's a tool for that. There's a connector for that where Logic apps can directly execute a Data Factory. Problem is it's still in preview and it doesn't support parameters, and we need parameters. So we wrote an Azure function that leverages Key Vault, right? So here we are bringing more Lego bricks in, right? But it leverages Key Vault to gather the information, and it actually will go out and execute a Data Factory pipeline and pass it parameters, right? And so we use an Azure function to fill in a gap of a missing product in the tool line for Logic apps, right? And so it's just, and it's super small. The code's, it's only this big. It's that many lines of code, and like you said, we only pay for it when we use it, which in the grand scheme of things is this much. It's really tiny. Our Data Factory bills and our function app bills are rounding errors in our Azure spend.
That's amazing.
And it is amazing.
So for our folks out there that are beginner to intermediate developers that want to get involved in this space, do you recommend them diving in on functions and serverless first?
I think so.
Get their arms around that. And it's from Charlotte, we heard there's a lot of great resources on Microsoft Learn to get started with that.
Yeah, so I would probably start in a combination of Logic apps and function apps.
Okay.
So function apps will be your coding entry. So if you're going to write code to perform, again, these kind of microservice-y-like things, Azure Functions is where you're going to do it. And if you want to start doing pipelines, if you want to start managing the execution of series of events, Logic Apps is a super easy way to get into that field. Data Factory is also pretty easy, but it takes more. You have to have a good use case for it, right? Whereas Logic Apps, you don't even have to be a coder to do Logic Apps.
It's very visual.
It's very visual,
to
very drag and droppy,
pieces.
and it'll get you comfortable with those concepts of a trigger that starts a series of execution that has some logic branching, that has some things like that.
Very cool stuff.
And then you use it to call those function apps, and all of a sudden you're in the serverless space and you're doing automated things, or more importantly, you're not doing those automated things.
Somebody else,
the
machine's doing that for you. That's awesome stuff. Well, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
joining us, Joel. This
Absolutely.
was great. And we're going to wrap things up.
Okay.
And get ready to say goodbye to everyone. I'm going to take a look and see if we can raid someone here as we end. Do we have any friends out there that might be in the science and technology space? Let's see if we can find anybody to raid as we wrap up here. I'm going to just take a quick look down here. I don't see any of our friends streaming. There we go. Thank you for the follow, Blackout TV. I'm going to take one more look over here and see if anybody else from the team is streaming. Maybe we can raid some folks real quick and send you out the right way here, and then we'll be back in just a little bit. You know what? Let's raid, and then let's raid Codebase Alpha. Let's send everybody over to go see Him? Yeah, there we go. Codebase Alpha. That's right, Surly Dev. So I'm going to set up for the raid to Codebase. Make sure I spell it right. Alpha. So sit right back. We're going to send you over there. You don't have to do a thing. We're going to send you over there. You can watch and see what's going on over there. And I hope you come back in about an hour. I'm going to be over at the Visual Studio Live Share booth, and we're going to work on a custom action for the Elgato Stream Deck. This little device that I have here. We're going to build a custom action that allows you to see your issues that are open on GitHub. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. I will see you in about an hour. If you can't join us in an hour, join me tomorrow. The schedule is just below us here. Say hello to our friends over at Codebase Alpha. Take care.